We absolutely need connection. We need to be able to connect, to influence, to express. And if we are going to change the world, it won't happen with prompts alone.
So it is almost impossible to be a leader these days. There are so many things you have to juggle. It's hard to do anything but just shrink into yourself and become a bit beige. So we are here today to talk about how you become Technicolor and how you get your Elvis out to make sure you have more extraordinary impacts. And today, talk about Technicolor. I'm joined by the amazing Frankie Kemp. Hey, Frankie.
Hey, Chris, it's nice to be here and get to speak to you.
It's great to have you on. So look, for those people who don't know you, can you give us a bit of background about who Frankie is?
So I help technical teams in pharma, IT, engineering, and all those wonderful sectors across the world to be less vanilla and much more thriller.
Oh, I
So
like that.
that means to allow you, like in your language, to allow your Elvis out, but in a way that is acceptable within your organization. Now, my background is theatre and improv, and it's
Great.
actually still my foreground, as we'll find out today. And it's that mix of performance, and this might sound like an oxymoron, performance yet authenticity that we can meld to make something true and to lift your norm from here to here because we repress our norm.
Oh, we do. Oh, we do. Look, I'm a huge fan of the world of theatre. We've used lots of techniques over the years in our workshops and how we help people, and they're massive unlocks, and for a good reason. Because in the world of theatre, you're suddenly on stage. You have to embody a persona in a way that's so authentic and so engaging that it really gets people's attention. And my God, we can learn something from that world because we need that when we show up in work. So I'm delighted to have you here because I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot today. So look, the first question: what is the story that you love to tell that people love to hear?
Well, I had a a problem with this question because when I go into training, I tell loads of stories.
I can
Depends
imagine.
on who I'm speaking to. Know your audience. Uh, I think the common thread is this. It's that when you take the lid off yourself, your world opens up.
Oh,
And when I left drama school, one of the first things I did, because I was in fringe theatre, was to get another job. Because
right.
basically, fringe theatre is voluntary acting. So I had to get a job. And I remember how it felt being in an office. I felt repressed. I
Sure.
felt held in. And I train people at all different levels. So I might train engineers or I might train CEOs, and they have that thread in common. Whatever level they feel that their persona has been tacitly molded by the environment in which they are. Now we are creatures of context. So it
Yep.
is important and it is inescapable that to a certain extent, we will mold ourselves to our environment. However, as positive as that could be, because you don't want to necessarily completely ignore the context in which you're in, that is not a useful
Sure.
frame of mind. One also has much more space to move. And ultimately, you were given your or that new position because of the way you are. So why are you over contextualizing your behavior? Don't do it. That's not what you're here for. And I've been plugging into lots of like Taoism and spiritual thinking. And, in there's a certain ethos that when we're born, we're kissed by the angels over here as soon as we come out the womb. And our job as we grow up is that kiss is the kiss where we forget why we're here. And pure individual self gives to the world. Our mission as we grow up and we look around us is to realize how our true selves can give and offer back to the world. We're not born of evil. We're born
certainly not.
potential. We're born with great potential, and we forget what that potential is because we over-contextualize our behavior.
So look, I think we could go on for a few hours on this very topic, Frankie, because this is something very close to my heart. I totally agree that we're almost born with amnesia, right? So we forget the essence of who we are, and therefore our job is to remember, which is a really interesting challenge. And then when we remember, I guess that's where you take the lid off the top of your head, and then you can be yourself, right? So have you got any tips on how we can remember and how we can take that lid off? What is the process? What are the things that you've seen that work best for people?
So there's a whole combination of things that happen. But, I was interesting that because something happened yesterday when I walked into a training room. Young designers. So the funny thing is, I teach people in tech, but because of the creative element, I also get people from design teams and architects who also get drawn to what I do. So I was doing presentation training, and many of them were young graduates, very talented, and they present to very experienced, much older people. And one of them said to me, "Do you know, Frankie, I feel really small and unimportant when I present." And I wanted to really thank her and weep at the same time. And I did. I said, that is so brave to say, because it is a human experience that is so much more general than you think at every level. And thank you for saying that. And one of the reasons that people get scared of presenting is this performance anxiety. I said, your job is to connect with people. You're just dealing with humans. Your job is to connect, to ask a question, to tell a story. And you know this because you go into training rooms, go into conferences. You're a keynote speaker and you're brilliant at this, Chris. You go in and you take a very human experience and you throw it out like a rope, and people are going to catch that. When you are communicating, when you are presenting, your job is not to go, wow, the room, because I hear people say this. Right, I'm sorry, in your opening few minutes, your job is to wow the room. No, delay. That really annoys me. I've actually read a book. I won't tell you the name of the book. It was for introverts. And to quote, it said, if you really want to connect with your audience before you present, tell a joke. Shoot yourself in the foot before you present. Tell a joke. That won't connect because you can't connect with yourself.
Sure.
When you're telling a joke. And I call these connection devices, they're called spices. So I have a spice rack.
Oh, nice. You got a spice rack.
Yes, a spice rack. And basically, I've collated everything. I go through all these presentation books and all these resources, and I've put them all on one page. It's a spice rack. I mean, people overcomplicate things.
Nice.
And the spice rack is conversational devices that help you to connect with other people. Now, this is the thing about connection. You've got to connect with yourself before you connect with other people. So how do you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as I was doing a keynote, and I always have at least, not always, sometimes I have more than one spice, one connection device. Why?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I feel like asking a question. I actually might feel like telling a story.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I would have two up my sleeve, and as I'm walking to the stage, I'm like, oh, I'll do the question.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, it's going to connect with the audience because they're connection devices. But I've got to connect with me first to work out, what do you feel like doing, Frankie?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's vital. So I think connectivity is the secret to nearly everything wondrous. And I love the fact you start with you, right? So if you can't connect with who you are in that moment, what gives you energy, what you're excited about, why you should give your talents to that moment, then actually you'll never come with that energy that you need, right? So
No.
that starting point is absolutely vital. And I love the fact you got a spice rack. I think everyone's got their own spice rack in some way, because over the years you pick up things that work for you. But they are there for a very singular purpose, which is to make sure that human connection happens, so that then we can just be in that space and we can do more meaningful work. And I like the fact that you're not quite sure which one you're going to use until that moment, because actually I think being able to feel that room and go with that flow is vital. If you go and it has to look the same each time, you lose that essence of who you are and that energetic excitement in that time. So I think that's a key thing to take away. And obviously there'll be a lot of leaders watching this, right, who'll be thinking, right, so connected to people, I get it on stage, but actually I guess this principle works in any interaction, right?
It works in any interaction. So the thing is, you need that balance of guidelines, but be prepared to throw them away. Because when we're working with people, it's a somatic experience. And again, this is why you do your walking and talking.
Yeah.
And the research backs this up. When we physicalize, we think more creatively. We can solve problems a lot easier. AI has its limits, but I know I'm writing a show right at the moment. And I thought, I'm going to write using AI and see what happens then when it comes out my mouth. So it has its limits, and one must be very aware of this. But it's a very somatic experience connection. And for example, I know that when I'm training in networking, for example, so I'm training in a big finance company for networking, and people think that they need a script. They're holding on to something, and that pressure makes them shut down.
Sure.
So I have, amongst a group of tools, is something that my brothers told me years ago when they started networking at the beginning of their careers. They said, always have three questions. Two of them should be open, so it's a what or a how. Write them on a piece of card and then stick them in your pocket so you can look at it before you go in the room. And what happens is, when I do this in workshops, people say, I wrote the questions down, and then after I asked the first one, I forgot about the others because I didn't need to ask them.
You don't need it, yeah? You're off, yeah?
Yes. But there are certain physical guides that I give to people. So I teach them about the notion of matching. And then I show them how matching and mismatching people can break the flow of a conversation and break the connection, or you can turn it around to enforce a connection. There's a lot of science behind this, but I want people to experience the data, and they all comment that it completely changes the flow of the conversation. So we have certain guidelines, but that allows for flow.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, this allowing for flow thing, I think it's gold, Frankie. I mean, the problem is our heads get in the way, right? So we worry about how we're perceived. We want people to love us. Is this a good question or a bad question? We get into that place, and then what we forget to do is just tune into ourselves and the people we're with. And obviously, if you are in that connected, in tune, energetic place, you can always ask the question, what's needed here? What's the thing that's interesting in this moment that we have that may never happen again? And you can only do that if you tune in with some sensitivity and a bit of curiosity, right? So for me, when you say get into your body, I'm so with you, because we've got to get out of our heads. When you see, I mean, I did something the other day for a big company who's famous for creativity and their culture. And they said, look, can you come along and get people a bit more confident about networking? And I was like, well, I'm not very keen on that word, but what I can do is get people in the room having a good time. We can create a party. And it is astonishing how much fear was in the room, how much fear about how they were perceived. How do I start a conversation? And as soon as they started to actually just relax, get into their bodies, have a bit of fun, get a giggle on, things came to them really positively. And then they were like, oh my God, this is really good. It's amazing the pictures we make in our heads. How we go, oh my God, if I say that, it's all only over. They think I'm a fool. And next thing you know, we shrink again, which I guess is part of what you must be brilliant at through theatre skills. Helping people be big, be themselves in that moment, see what's needed and play with it. So my next question would be this. If there's one thing that you think is key in releasing the genius of our people, what would that one thing be?
Oh, as you were speaking, there were two words that came to mind.
Okay.
So I'm stretching the brief.
You can stretch the brief, Frankie. I'm cool with that.
Well, there is an overlap. Play.
Okay.
Play. And now play means... So some people say in certain organisations, we encourage failure, right? I hate the word failure, because failure, it's almost like a paradox, because nobody wants to fail. Yeah. So we encourage failure, but I don't want to fail, right? We encourage play. Oh, now play is a different word, because play, sometimes you get it wrong. Okay.
Sure.
Wrong.
Yeah.
That's part of the game. So, for example, again, yesterday, presenting, everybody speaks like this, because when you are in an open plan office, you don't open your mouth very much.
No.
The vowels.
It's a good insight.
Yeah. Vowels carry emotion and consonants carry conviction. So it's very difficult to speak with emotion when you are holding on to your jaw. But you have to hold on to your jaw, because otherwise you over-project, and then somebody goes to HR and says, I'm sorry, Chris is far too loud. And then you get called into your face and say, Chris, could you turn it down a bit, please? So I said to them, you all need to open your gobs. Yeah, but it feels unnatural. So we did this game, and it's absolutely bizarre. And they all have to exaggerate. So they were all given something to read. So someone's the street porter, you've TV. So I have to speak like this, and then normally, and then speak like this. And they all go, my God, my jaws are clicking. Their articulation improved. Their voices projected more. And the expression went up to the eyes. Now, what am I doing? I'm getting them to play. I'm getting them to push their boundaries so their norm is expanded, but not as expanded as when it was. Now, creativity, we know with creative problem solving, you throw mud at the wall, that's part of it.
Sure.
You've got to divergently think. Now, if people feel it's wrong, or that they're going to be edited out, then they'll edit themselves out beforehand.
Sure.
And what I do when I am with people, and it's any learning environment, is to give a sense of play. So, even when I was teaching in academia, I would start off with improv exercises.
Yeah, just to loosen people up, warm them up, get them a bit messy. make a few mistakes, have a laugh about it, and then it's much easier for them to then take part. A bit of improv goes a long way, right, Frankie?
Absolutely. And it's not for the sake of it. People
Yeah.
who've never done improv before, they think, God, RC drama games. And I'll even say,
Yeah.
RC drama games, let's all do a group hug. And then go, no, I'm joking. Don't worry, you won't do that. You won't be doing that. Let's throw a ball and say our names. So, I take the piss out of it myself. But after they've done it, they would go, can we do another one of your games? Yeah, sure.
We just gotta have a bit more fun. I mean, the problem is that I think we just take ourselves and our jobs way too seriously. And when we relax and enjoy ourselves, I see this all the time. It's the work that I do, really. I get people to lighten up. They suddenly, with a smile on their face, they become more of who they are. They bring more energy. They bring more of that creativity because they're not worried about being judged. So I am a huge fan of that. And what I love about some of your approaches, by the way, it reminds me of, so I managed to hurt my vocal cords because I did too many big events without microphones when I was young, stupidly. I've learned my lesson. And I had to have a voice coach for a while, and I never forget some of them I'll never forget. One was, I had to say, "Mummy makes marmalade" in a very particular way, and I had to do all these silly breathing things. But you know what they did? They took me outside of my norm, and they stretched me out so that when I came back to it, I just had way better range. And sometimes you need something that just pulls you apart, and it might be not what you'll ever do again, but it doesn't matter. What it's done is it's reshaped you, and it's given you much better volume of energy to play in your world, right? And I think that's what theatre does brilliantly. Improv, we don't have to do that every day in our meetings, but by doing so, we stretch off, and now we're a bit larger than we were before.
That's it. We allow ourselves to take up a bit more space with our voice, with our expression. I mean, I've got all these expressive exercises that I've been doing with.
I bet you've got loads. I might have to steal them, Frankie.
All right, share.
I want your spice rack as well.
And basically, you get people to read things in a ghosty voice, and they experiment with voice. And suddenly, people are now, they're engineers. They're smiling at you when they and other people. And they're more expressive with their gesture. They're not speaking like that, but they're more expressive. And we know that presence is one thing that's internalized, and charisma is just the ability to express what's going on inside to the out. It gives you the presence and that electricity that fills the room, makes people listen to you without you pretending to be someone else. We open the range. And, there are people who will be listening who go, yeah, but I have a very serious job. I'm a CTO. It's like you say, lighten up. But, okay, there's times and a place. But if you can't plug into that lightening up, you're going to find your problem-solving abilities and communication becomes more myopic.
Oh, for sure. And look, it doesn't matter what job you do, you could be a bit more human and a bit more energetic. And by the way, I like that presence with electricity. So I'm actually writing a new book at the moment. I'm doing quite a lot on that kind of combination. Because what I'm noticing, so many leaders they're so busy, their heads are so full, they're juggling so many agendas, they're anything but present. They can't actually sit and have a proper conversation with somebody. Now, I don't care what role you've got, if you're CTO, you need to be present with your people. You need to be able to connect with them and give them full attention. And then if you bring in a bit of electricity, that's where the magic happens, right? So it doesn't matter what you do. We all need more of that. And actually, with this, amazing technical advances, which are fantastic, and they're going to help humanity. With those, we need to accentuate more of our human advantage. And the way you articulate it, I think, is beautiful. Presence and electricity. I might be putting that in the book. Let me see, Frank. I'm stealing everything you say. Right.
I'll be speaking to my lawyer about copying.
Immediately. Hey, look. I'm loving this conversation. I like the energy of it. I love the way that you light up when you talk about it. I'd be very interested in this next question. What is it, Frankie, that gives you hope?
The fact that Yeah, everyone's talking about AI. Okay. Now, I think that it reminds me of the dot-com bubble. It reminds me of lots of bubbles.
Yeah,
Um, it's basically Ask Jeeves. Now, there's a lot of things that we can do with AI. It's fantastic.
sure.
What it's thrown up is our very humanity, our creativity, our critical thinking abilities, just to be just two of them. Many qualities that we have as humans that we need more. And what I'm seeing now is generation. What letter are we on? Z.
I've lost count. No idea.
Chroma. Anyway, whatever letter we're on now. It's interesting that they are now doing this, going, I don't want Snapchat.
Yeah. Wow.
They are wanting now to free themselves. So on one hand you have this, and on the other hand you have the got to get your prompts right. And I think that there's room for that because it helps us to work. But
Sure.
it also shows to me we absolutely need connection. We need to be able to connect, to influence, to express. And if we are going to change the world, it won't happen with prompts alone. And there's a lot that needs changing. And that's why we need our very humanity to impact the world.
I knew we were going to have very similar beliefs and opinions, and I couldn't be more with you on that one, Frankie. It is definitely the time for humanity to be centre stage. Love it. So, look, what have you got that's coming up that's exciting? What's in the future for you?
Okay, so I mean, I've got some lovely sort of keynotes that I'm going to be doing with.
Oh, cool.
One of them's an AI company, funnily enough. So I'll be talking about influencing the senior leadership teams. So there is that coming up. There's a couple of big keynotes there, but also I'm kind of looking forward to it. But I had my first collaboration last night, and I'm now. It's kind of shitting myself really, but I'm doing a one-woman show.
Oh, wow. How cool.
So I've got to set the date with the theatre, and I'm like, shall I do September and give myself pressure, or shall I do November and give myself time? When is the
September.
Yeah, September. I knew you'd do that. Put the pressure there because
It'll
that's
happen.
really going to help me, I think.
I love it. Oh, look, a one-woman show. That's fantastic. Well, look, when that is all done, let me know the date stuff. If I can come along, I'd love to come and see it. I think you'd be amazing. I've really enjoyed having you on. I love your spice rack. I like the way that you are expressing so many things that I'm really passionate about. So, Frankie Kemp, it's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll meet in person one day.
Hopefully, Chris. From here.
Big love.
Ciao.